let's understand about lactic acid build-up. Now, many of us have experienced this, that when you're exercising, suppose you're running at a higher speed. Either if you're running or cycling or you're swimming, dancing, or either you're doing body weight exercises, or weight training with lighter weight, more number of repetitions. Okay, all of this if you are doing at a higher speed, okay, if you're doing it very quickly, which means that it's high intensity. Many of us have experienced this, okay, that we have a sensation of burning in the muscles. There's a kind of discomfort that you experience, and this is quick muscle fatigue and burning sensation, and because of this comfort you're compelled to take a gap in between these exercises, okay, for few minutes, or either you're forced to discontinue that exercise temporarily. So the reason of this quick muscle fatigue, this discomfort that you experience and that burning sensation in the muscles, is because of lactic acid buildup. And this, it can hinder the performance of your exercise and also your fitness routine. So let's understand this, okay, with the help of an example. Now, consider Mr. A, who is running, okay, or he's jogging, okay, at a low speed. Now, his body requires some amount of energy to do this exercise. Say about X amount of energy his body requires per second. Now, the body gets this energy, that is ATP, to perform this exercise, which is low intensity, okay, he's jogging at a low speed, that is to aerobic metabolism. This is the pathway, okay, energy pathway that the body follows. It is through this energy system that the body gets energy, okay, that is X amount of energy per second. Now the reason is because he is breathing in continuously, his body is taking in air, okay, comfortably he is breathing, intensity is low, speed is low, his body uses that oxygen and it creates energy. Now consider Mr. B, who is running at a high speed. He is running Now here, since the speed is high, okay, the intensity is high, his body requires a lot of energy, okay, to do that exercise. That is, say about 20x amount of energy per second. So you can see the difference clearly. Here his body required some amount of energy, less amount of energy per second. Here his body requires a lot of energy per second. Now this is just for our understanding, just a very simple example. Now here, the amount of energy required to run at a high speed is a lot. It's a huge amount of energy per second. So the body cannot take in sufficient quantity. That amount of oxygen is insufficient enough to produce energy. Therefore, the body shifts into another zone, which is anaerobic energy pathway. So the body gets energy through anaerobic metabolism. Okay. So let's get a brief understanding that when your body is able to take in a lot of oxygen and create energy, that is aerobic metabolism. Okay, here the intensity is less, body is able to take in a lot of oxygen and create energy. But as the intensity increases, the speed is so high, his body requires a huge amount of energy, therefore that, okay, it's insufficient enough. Oxygen is insufficient enough. Here this happens in the presence of oxygen. Now since we get an idea about aerobic and anaerobic energy pathway, okay, metabolism, let's understand this to the representation to the energy pathway. Now your body creates that energy through glucose, which is a glucose present in the blood. Okay. The body gets glucose either through the glucose present in the blood or through glycogen. Now glycogen is nothing but the stored form of glucose. Okay, it can be readily used. Glycogen is present in the muscles, skeletal muscles, and in the liver. So the body breaks this glycogen through glycogenolysis. Okay, and it makes glucose. Now glucose is a 6-carbon molecule. Now this is again broken down to a simpler form, which is pyruvate. And pyruvate is a 3-carbon molecule. 2 pyruvates are produced. Now when his body is taking a lot of oxygen, the oxygen supply is sufficient enough. That's where his body will create energy through aerobic metabolism, and that's where this pathway follows. Acetyl CoA is produced, which enters into the Krebs cycle or the TCA cycle, and that is how ATPs are produced, which is energy. Okay, giving out a lot of other products also, which I have not mentioned. Now this is glycolysis. Okay. Now, this happens in the presence of oxygen. This is aerobic metabolism. Now, what happens in the absence of oxygen? The intensity is very high, speed is very high. That's where the oxygen is insufficient enough. Body follows another pathway, which is anaerobic metabolism. That's where lactic is produced. Body follows this energy pathway. Okay, and this is anaerobic metabolism. And that is the reason when this man, he is running at high intensity. Okay, this we all have experienced that when we are running or jogging at higher speed for few minutes, suddenly you will experience a discomfort and you'll be compelled to take a gap in between that exercise because you get a burning sensation in your muscles and quick muscle fatigue. Or either you will prefer to stop that exercise temporarily. And it's very important to understand this because this can hinder your performance. Okay, that's why we should get a brief understanding about fitness, about the energy pathway, that is aerobic and anaerobic energy systems. In this, it's very important to understand how many repetitions you're doing for your exercise, at what intensity you'll be doing, for how long, how many minutes, how many seconds. All of this will be managed by your fitness, designing the right fitness program. So, it's because of the presence of the lactic acid. Okay, lactic acid pH value is low, and that's why, lactic and H plus ions is given off, and that's why the discomfort, the more amount of lactic acid is produced, the body clears off that lactic acid, but sometimes the production of lactic acid is so much that it cannot cope up. Okay, the clearance is lesser compared to the production of lactic acid, and that is known as lactic acid threshold. Lactic threshold. So this will depend on the person's fitness level. If you are exercising, doing that particular exercise for a very long time, your body is adapted to it, and that's why it gets adapted to clear lactic acid very quickly. Okay, depending on the production of lactic acid, and the clearance also happens smoothly. But if you have not exercised for a very long time and you're new to that particular exercise and you're doing it at high intensity, then definitely the clearance of lactic acid will not be very quick compared to the production of it, and that's why your performance will get hindered and you will not be able to reach your fitness target. So let's get a brief understanding that we should understand that there is science involved in your exercise, and get a brief understanding that the design of the fitness program has to be understood.